and welcome to today's Creature Feature. I am Bianca Johnson. I'm one of the animal care attendants here at Assiniboine Park Zoo, and my little piece of heaven is Toucan Ridge, our tropical biome. And this is my friend Joey. So today we're hoping to talk about adaptations, specifically with birds. And so I thought that maybe Joey could help us a little bit with that. Yes, Joey's very excited by the prospect of all of this. So what is an adaptation? Joey, off. So an adaptation is any behavior or physical trait that basically helps an animal to thrive in their environment or in a particular situation. So to be a bird, probably the most obvious ones are wings. Sorry, we have bird politics happening right now. Joey, show us your wing. Good. Let's see if Joey will do that on the other side. Show us your wing. Good. So obviously all birds have wings. Another thing that birds have are beaks. And beaks are a very specific adaptation to the kinds of things that they're going to use them for. Not all beaks are the same. So Joey, on. If you look at her, she is a member of the parrot family. She is a sulfur-crested cockatoo, and as you can see, she has what we call a hook beak. And the reason why her beak would be shaped that way is because parrots use it for getting into their foods, but they actually also use it to help them move around. So she's going to have a very different shaped beak than other birds that we're going to show you. Joey up. Good girl. You might notice that Joey is doing a little bit of training as we're talking here today, and that is very handy for us because that beak can crack open some of the world's hardest nuts. And if you take that thought and run with it, our fingers do not compare to those really hard nuts. So it's really nice if we can get Joey to show us her wing when we ask her to, as opposed to trying to force her to do something that she might not otherwise want to do. So that's why we'll do a lot of training to get those sort of behaviors. Bob, he is our monk parakeet over here. He is another member of the parrot family. So what you're going to see is he also is going to have that hook-shaped beak. So even though he's a different kind of parrot, he will still have that hook beak. So in comparison, we're going to take you over and we're going to introduce you to another one of my friends.
While we're heading over, we have a question here about what you were feeding Joey.
One of Joey's favorite treats in this whole world is a sunflower seed. So they're not the cooked and salted ones that we think are great, but a nice raw sunflower seed to her is, you know, the equivalent of your bag of chips or a bucket of ice cream. She thinks it's great. So this bird over here is my friend Louise, and Louise is an Inca tern. And what you're going to see is that her beak is quite different than the parrot because she has this really super sharp beak, and she uses it for spearing teeny tiny fish out of the first couple of inches of the water when she dives down for her food. So a hook wouldn't do her any good when she's doing that kind of a behavior. So it's kind of a neat little way to show that obviously different tools for different jobs. And one of my favorite things about Inca terns is that lovely little like handlebar mustache thing she's got going on. Yes, she is a girl. Boys and girls both have it. And that is actually been shown that the longer and fuller of a mustache they have, they're in better physical health. And they'll actually show that males and females with the best handlebars will actually get together at breeding season, and they'll have the biggest and most fit babies. So they actually use that as markers. So I just think that that's adorable. Let's see who else we can show you.
We have a couple questions about how old Joey is and what's the life expectancy of that type of bird.
Joey over there in June is going to be turning 33 years old, and which sounds really long, but actually they have a lifespan of 60 to 80 years. So not that far into her life yet. So she's got many, many years with us.
We have a question here asking what's your favorite bird species here at the zoo? I know you're not supposed to pick favorites.
I'm not supposed to pick favorites for my favorite. It's not a favorite species. It is a favorite individual. And that is the two that I'm going to show you guys now. I have a personal soft spot for toucans. I think that they are fantastic in all the ways that fit into their environment. I think it's great. So if you guys want to follow me for a second, if you have any questions while we walk for a second.
Yeah, we have another question asking
It is, absolutely. They grow out of, on the edge of her mouth, she has these little bits of yellow skin, and they sort of grow out from the corners of those, but they are actual feathers. So I hope you guys can see as well as I can see, but this is one of our toucans. She is a Toco toucan. This is the largest kind of toucan in the world, and her name is Chimichanga. We call her Cece for short. And again, if you look at that beak as our first example, they have a very different beak than some of the other birds that we've been talking about. Might be a little hard for you guys to see there, but she actually has a serrated edge to her beak. So she's going to go after mostly whole fruits and berries, and she's going to use those serrated edges to actually rip them into pieces small enough for her to be able to eat.
We have a question here of where are these birds from in the wild? So maybe let's talk toucan, and then we can talk about where Joey comes from.
Absolutely. So toucans are definitely a South American and Central American bird. So it depends on which kind of toucan you're talking about. You'll find them in places like Peru or Costa Rica, or, you know, any place warm. There's, I think it's 27. I could be mistaken on that. I think it's 27 species of toucans currently, and so you'll find them all in different areas. The Inca tern is found very specifically off the coast of Peru. They actually only feed out of one ocean current in the world. It's called the Humboldt Current. So if the very small fish like anchovies and such in the Humboldt Current ever start to disappear because of environmental trends, they will have to see if they can adapt to that.
We have another question here. How long is this beak, and is it heavy?
Oh, I love these questions. These are fantastic questions. So toucans, one of the defining characteristics of a toucan is that their beak is on average half the length of their body. So Toco toucans being the largest toucan, they're going to have the longest beak. So her beak is probably about a foot long, I'd say, almost a foot long. But compared to other birds that would have a beak that big, and yes, it would be very heavy, toucans, their beak is actually like this mostly hollow honeycomb thing going on inside of it, so that it's actually not nearly as heavy as you think it would be. And it actually allows for this really kind of cool thing that their beaks are some of the only bird beaks in the world that are actually innervated. So they actually feel what they do with that beak. It's not the same as us with skin, but they feel way more with that beak than most birds would. And if anyone's interested, one of the reasons for that, another adaptation, is because their food is that they have chosen to eat the softest and overripe fruits that they find, so they don't have to compete with other critters that want the same foods. They get the overripe stuff at the end. And having nerves in that beak actually allow them to basically grab a berry or piece of fruit and test it and find out if it's overripe or not. Whereas most birds would not know until they actually ate it how ripe it was or wasn't.
Awesome. We did actually have some questions about what they like to eat. So you had mentioned some of that soft fruit. Is there anything else that the toucan eats?
Mostly fruit is what they're going to go for. When they're youngsters, they will go after like some bugs and a few little small protein sources like other bird eggs. But the majority of their life, it's fruits that they want, or even some soft veggies. But that's pretty much it. So here at the zoo, some of their favorite things are grapes and bananas, that kind of stuff. They really like the soft, mushy fruits. Whereas the hard fruit, like an apple or a pear, they only like it if we let it sit around till we wouldn't like it anymore. Then when it's nice and soft and gooey, that's when she wants it.
We have a couple of suggestions that maybe Fruit Loops would be a good snack.
Oh, I think that would be a fantastic idea.
we have a bunch of questions coming in right now asking, what the heck are those?
Oh, I wondered if they might get some attention. Those are our Patagonian maras, and they are sisters. They're 4 years old, and their names are Pixie and Dixie. They're an interesting creature.
We might save a little bit more for that for something in the future, so stay tuned for that.
Absolutely. We can take a little bit of a walk around and see what other birds that we might be able to see.
Fantastic.
Okay.
While we're walking, some people are also asking how old Gigi is.
Oh, Chimichanga, she's actually in June going to be turning 2 years old. She's actually just a kid. She's almost full grown and she should be sexually mature, but she still definitely acts like a bit of a kid. She's still learning everything about the world around her. She loves to explore everything. Whenever we give her new objects, she really likes to like interact with everything and see if she can figure it out. So she's in a really fun stage of her life right now. Yeah. And hopefully we're going to do something fun for her birthday in June. Let's see. Oh, Joey's still over here waiting for us. Hello, Josephine.
A little earlier we had some questions about Joey's yellow feathers on the top of her head. What are those for?
That is what we call her crest, and it's basically a communication tool. So if you think of birds living in the tops of trees, they might be quite a long distance from each other. So even though, yes, these guys are very loud when they have something to say, they still might be too far to hear each other very well. And as you guys might be able to notice in here, just with one little tiny fake waterfall going, it gets kind of loud. So sometimes having a non-verbal communication skill is great. So Joey, there you go. Joey can actually put that crest up, and she can also use those yellow patches under her wings to do what I like to refer to as basically bird sign language. When her crest goes up, it usually means excited, and that can be good excited or bad excited, depending on what other things she's doing and saying at the same time.
Last week we had learned a little bit about enrichment, and somebody had asked in the comments here if any of the birds get puzzle feeders like we saw with some of the other animals.
Oh, yes. Enrichment, probably one of my favorite subjects. Probably don't want to get me going too much on that right now. But absolutely, we make all of our animals in Toucan Ridge work for their food every day. So whether that means mentally working or physically working, so we'll give them puzzle feeders. We'll give them things that they have to flip over. We'll give them things that they have to break apart. We'll give them things they have to dig through or hang from. Anything that we can think of to make them have to use those natural skills and adaptations. We don't ever want them to get bored when they're living here with us. Okay, well, it looks like a bunch of our other critters are taking an afternoon siesta. So I think that we're just going to say goodbye for today. Thank you so much for coming in and listening to me babble about some of our birds' adaptations. I hope everybody at home is staying well, and thank you very much.